So this video will be my non-spoiler review for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. Again, there will be no spoilers in this video. So if you look on Rotten Tomatoes right now, you'll see that the critic score is at like a 48%, and I believe that the audience score is at an 84% or something like that, which goes to show that you shouldn't always really believe the critics, so to speak, and that if you really want to see how a movie is, the best way to do it is just to go out and see it. And I feel the same way in comparison to these Rotten Tomatoes scores, because this is a movie that I really enjoyed. I would say right now it's probably a top 10 MCU movie for me, although I'm going to kind of refrain from ranking these newer movies until after Secret Wars comes out, because that way enough time will have passed so that I was able to sit with them long enough. But with this movie specifically, I did enjoy it a lot. I think it does a very different type of sci-fi story than we're used to seeing in the MCU, which I feel like is where some conflictions of people's opinions on it can come in. This is also obviously a comedy, because every single Ant-Man movie has been that type of way. It's been a comedy with some action in it and stuff like that. And I don't know if people have been coming into this movie thinking it's going to be a certain type of way, and it might be like an action-packed movie because Kang is the villain and stuff like that, or what. But you have to understand that regardless of whether Kang is the villain or not, this is still an Ant-Man movie, and it does very much follow the Ant-Man way of being a very high comedy movie with some action thrown in there, which I really enjoyed the comedy in this movie. I think this movie's comedy was much better than the first two, and not to say that the first two wasn't funny. I just think this one is the funniest so far. The overall story structure I thought was pretty good personally. The only thing I would say is that I did feel at the very beginning of the movie, I did feel it was kind of rushed a little bit, although I do feel like this might be kind of a trend with some of these Phase 4 and 5 movies lately. The ones that I can think of off the top of my head was Multiverse of Madness was another one that felt rushed in certain parts. No Way Home, when I did first see it, felt rushed in certain parts. I don't think overall it takes away from the movie. I just think that I don't like when a movie has to get from like a story point A to a story point B like way faster, and it just feels less natural when they have to rush it in that manner. However, like I said, I will say after that kind of small beginning portion that felt rushed to me, I felt like the story did feel reasonably paced. I didn't feel like there was a lot of other parts that were rushed or anything like that. The next thing that I can think of, I would say, is Catherine Newton as Cassie Lang, aka Stature, now in this movie, as she gets her Ant-Man suit, which we've seen in the trailers and stuff. So that's not a spoiler or anything like that. So they recasted her from the actress who played her in Avengers Endgame for seemingly some reason. We don't really know that reason. Even the actress from Avengers Endgame who played older Cassie Lang didn't know that she was being recasted until she saw the news online that Catherine Newton was cast as her character, just like how any other fan would. So that is kind of crappy that they did that. I'm not necessarily saying that the Endgame actor would have been better, although I will say I wasn't thoroughly impressed with Catherine Newton's performance. I won't go as far as to say that she's a bad actor, but I just do feel like there were some line deliveries that just didn't fit what was going on around. Like, it should have been a lot more either serious or impactful, and it just wasn't. So I don't really know what else to say about that. I don't think, like I said, she's a bad actor, but I just think some decisions and deliveries with the way that she made some lines just didn't hit the way I felt that they were supposed to. Paul Rudd, obviously fantastic in this movie. Evangeline Lilly, she was pretty good. Bill Murray, Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Douglas, they were all good. Obviously, the one that I feel like a lot of people are unanimously saying is the best in this movie, and I would have to agree, is Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror. So I did say this movie was a comedy, but with that being said, whenever there were moments featuring Kang the Conqueror, there was an abundant seriousness that came in, and I think they did a very good job in balancing the comedy with the seriousness with Jonathan Majors, Kang the Conqueror. And the way Jonathan Majors acts as Kang the Conqueror in this he was just phenomenal. He does a great job delivering a menacing performance that leaves you wanting more, in kind of a similar vein that you might have thought of Thanos after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Although I would go even a step further, because Thanos barely got any screen time in Guardians 1, and I would say Jonathan Majors' performance in this is even way better, and it does make you want to see where he's going to end up next in the MCU. One thing that I do feel like they did not as good of a job as balancing was some emotional moments. Like I said, I think they did a good job balancing comedy and the seriousness with Kang, but then there were some emotional moments that I feel like were supposed to hit at least slightly harder than they did, but I feel like because the movie was either extremely comedic or it was extremely serious regarding Kang, the kind of middle ground in the emotions, I feel like kind of got muddied up a little bit, and it didn't get as well portrayed across as the seriousness and the comedy. As far as a non-spoiler review goes, I can't really think of a lot of things to say. I will say that if you are invested in the MCU at all and you're curious to see where this saga ends, this is definitely a must-see movie. You should absolutely go see Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, because this is a pivotal movie regarding the main villain, Kang the Conqueror, going forward in the MCU up and through Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. But like I said, I enjoyed this movie. I would give it at least probably an 8 out of 10 right now. So comment down below if you're excited to see Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, or if you already saw it, give your thoughts on what you thought about it without spoiling. If you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content, and I appreciate you for watching the video.